Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Parish Zoning Commission meeting of Tuesday, November the 12th. Please be seated. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Dave Doherty.
Here.
Martha Casabon. Pug Lauren. Marcus Hines. Todd Richard. Bernie Willing. Bill Matthews. Jimmy Davis. Dave Manella. Kirk Drum. Ron Randolph. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. On the announcements, phones and pagers, please put them on silent or turn them off. If you disagree with any decision this commission makes, you have a right to appeal to the council. The appeal cards are over on the railing to my right. Speaker cards, anyone wishing to speak, please get one of the speaker cards over on the railing and fill it out and turn it into staff. They will get it up to us. Each side will have 10 minutes with a 5-minute rebuttal. Please do not stay out in the lobby for discussion. The sound reverberates back into the building here, and I'll ask you to leave. Ms. Casabon, will you lead us in invocation? Mr. Davis.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Mr. Matthews.
Mr. Chairman, since we seem to have a great deal more people in here than we did at the planning meeting, I'd like to again say that since yesterday was Veterans Day, I'd like to know if we have any additional veteran or active duty serving member in the audience tonight. If you do, would you please stand up? No other veterans? Okay. Just been informed, well, might ought to ask, do we have any on the commission? Veterans. Thank you for your service, and those veterans that are still in the audience, again, thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October 1st meeting. It was in your packet. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review it. Now, are there any changes or amendments that need to be made? I'll accept the motion to approve. Moved by Mr. Lauren, seconded by Mr. Manella. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Staff, do we have any postponing of cases?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The first one is number 6 on the agenda, ZC 13-11-079. Number 6, ZC 13-11-079.
Okay, that's a request to postpone.
Yes.
All right,
I do not know if the owner is in the audience.
okay. Yes, we are. Okay, this is zoning case 13-11-079. Who's requesting the postponement?
It is the petitioner, the owner.
The petitioner and the owner's requesting the postponing. Existing zoning is A2, proposed is A2 with the rural overlay, 2.6 acres. Lynn Crespo and Joanne Crespo are the petitioners and the owners. Location partial located on the south side of Independence Drive, east of Revere Drive, being 204 Independence Drive, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 5. I think we may have quite a few people here that wanted to speak on this. If it's postponed, it will be heard at next month's meeting. I don't have the date right in front of me, but it'll be on the first Tuesday of December.
December 3rd.
December 3rd, okay, thank you. All right. Yes, sir. Please.
Is there a reason for postponement that's valid?
Well, when the petitioner requests to be postponed, generally we will follow their request because they are the one that has brought it and have it on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that the petitioner wants to have a meeting with some of the neighbors to try to resolve any problems if they can, see if there's a way to work this out without going to a rural overlay, which is not something I don't think any of the neighbors would probably want.
Okay.
But that's my understanding, and I would make a motion to postpone.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Matthews to postpone, second by Mr. Richard. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Staff, do you have another one?
Yes, the next one is number 7, ZC 13-11080, and Mr. Mayu, the petitioner, is here in the audience.
I'm sorry, the what?
The petitioner, Mr. Mayu, is here in the audience if you have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Mayu, you wish to have this postponed until next month's meeting? Okay, all right. Do we have folks in the audience on that? This is zoning case 13-11-080. The existing zoning's A3, proposed zoning's A4A. It's 4.5 acres. The petitioner is Philip G. Mayu. Owner is Denham Investments LLC, partial located on the west side of rural Duchesne Drive, south of Brewster Road, Ward 1, District 1. Yes, sir.
I'll just make next month.
Pardon?
I'll make next month's meeting.
Okay, all right, it'll be on December the 3rd. Ms. Casabon,
I was just going to make a motion to table.
motion by Ms.
Postpone.
Casabon to postpone, seconded by Mr. Willie. Please vote. Motion carries, thank you. All right. Staff, that's all?
Correct, yes.
All right. We'll go back to the front of the agenda on page 1. First item is zoning case ZC 01-03-028. This is a major amendment to a PUD, which is a planned unit development overlay. It's 161.115 acres. The petitioner is GEC Incorporated. Owner is ASBE Fund. Partial located on the northwest intersection of I-12 and Louisiana 1088, Ward 4, District 5 and 7. This was postponed from the October 1st meeting. Staff?
A plan was originally approved in 2001 for the site to be developed as a commercial, residential, and institutional PUD. A complete reconfiguration of the originally approved plan has been submitted, consisting of a 57-lot commercial and industrial subdivision to be developed with 5 different types of zoning districts. Since last month's submission, a revised list of permitted use for each zoning district has been provided, including maximum building size, maximum building height, and minimum lot size has been also provided. One of the major concerns of the previously submitted plan was the incompatibility between the proposed layout of the list and of uses. A list of approximately 123 permitted uses has been submitted that resulted in a repetition of uses and a number of inherent conflicts. The revised list of proposed uses, which excludes residential uses, is compatible with the proposed plan, more compatible with the purpose and the objective of the PUD, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, you have some comments?
As you know, when the original proposal came in front of us for this major amendment, staff had some concerns on some details which have been worked out relative to the private agreement between the parties and relative to setbacks. But our major concern was the original list of uses. We have worked those out. Those were presented at the community meeting that I know some of the commissioners attended, and I think we have a good group of uses. We've been looking for the appropriate place to have another high-end commercial with some industrial parks in the parish for economic development purposes. This seems to be an ideal site. We're working on some others, but again, we've worked on this with the Department of Economic Development, with the administration, and we recommend approval of the proposal as submitted.
Okay. All right. We normally have the attorney for the case speak. McCord, you?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to what staff has said?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and not to prolong the matter, but as many of you know, this matter has been around for quite some time due to many circumstances out of the control of the ASBE fund. We've worked diligently with the parish planning staff. We've met all of their concerns, and we would respectfully request that the commission tonight approve the PUD amendment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? I'll close the floor to the Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. Carlo Hernandez. I have several concerns about this proposal and curious as to hopefully that some of the commission members will agree. One of the things that that was spoken about at the community meeting was now calling this a business park, and yet there's still industrial uses that are listed in this proposal, and I'm curious as to why that is the case. I would propose that we eliminate that. If you look at what is under the provisions under a business plan, not many of the uses that are listed here are not in this business plan. So, I'm curious as to, well, okay, I guess you can take some of the elements that you want and not others. The 200-foot height limit is from the business plan, and that is the maximum that's permitted in the zoning ordinance, and that is the one grouping. That is the two. That's not the one. The one is 75 feet. The square footage that they propose, the 250,000 square feet that they propose under their first set of 43 lots, and then the additional, I think it's 6 lots that they have in there, are, above the HC3 permitted, and that's 200,000. HC2 is less than that. So I'm curious as to, the 250,000 square feet, especially this 1 to 43 lots that are in there. The average size for that lot is just over 1 acre, 1.22 acres. If you take the 43 and divide it by their number that they have for that, you come up with 53,143 square feet. And, and 250,000 square feet that you would have, some of it has to be used for parking, and maybe half of it, if not more, for parking, and so that there's no way that you can get to the 250,000 square foot number that they want. So I'm curious as to why they would propose such a high number. And of course, for the parking, let me just tell you that the parking for something like that in that order would be nearly 400 parking spaces that would be needed if you got close to that. So, okay, where are you going to put 400? Obviously, you have to have a multi-level parking garage in order to do that. So I'm just curious as to about that. One of the things that's in the PUD regulations is tabulation of the maximum square footage of each use. Now, I have not seen that unless you're telling me that the 250,000 square foot that they're proposing under all the uses is that. I would interpret that to mean that under each one of the land uses that they have listed here, that you'd have to have the maximum number that you would propose to have under that. And under each one, obviously, then would come some parking associated with that. So, I just find it, that I believe that they've just have many things that I would be concerned about, and hopefully some of the commission members are too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Fontenot, I'm going to refer that to you.
Just a couple comments on some of Mr. Hernandez's questions. There are many business parks that include some form of industrial use, particularly as this one would, storage, warehousing. We have had many industries come to the parish, want to come to the parish, where they want the same property or properties that are closely located near each other, where they can put a high-end corporate office and have their warehousing nearby. In fact, if you think some of the older warehouses that you have in older cities, very often your corporate offices, you looked out over your complex, or you went out the back door and walked into your warehouse or your manufacturing, whatever. So there is that desire to have the ability to have a high-end park and have all of your functions on site. Now, this would not allow every industrial use. We're not talking heavy industrial uses here. We're talking logistics. We're talking warehousing. We're talking, we have some in the parish that we've been successful, but the property is rare that we can do this. We have the Folgers. We have the Rooms to Go. We have Associated Foods. The Rooms to Go and Associated Foods has been the last couple of years located in Pearl River. So that's the type of thing that we're talking about on this property, to the back of the property. So you're not looking at the warehouse along the interstate, but it is located there within close proximity to the interstate. As far as the height, I don't know where, if the council has made a determination through the zoning ordinance that 200-foot can be acceptable in St. Tammany Parish, where else in the parish would you place it? Except at a very close to an interstate interchange, with the closest residences being across the interstate from you. Where else would we place it? There are no residences except for one to the immediate west, which I don't even know if it's occupied, an old wood frame building next to where they put the towers. They actually relocated the tower with the interchange. It's right next to the interchange. Beyond that, you go north and there's no residences. You go south, you start getting to residential on the other side of the interstate. As far as the square footage, we have had many opportunities through the state economic development to look at large-scale businesses, and not of the heavy manufacturing kind, but large-scale businesses, large corporate offices, large logistics-type facilities, similar to the ones that are located in Pearl River, not in unincorporated St. Tammany Parish because our zoning doesn't allow it, and then Folgers as a conditional use. If you're going to do economic development, that is a possibility. That is something that we have a limitation of. 250,000 square feet sounds like a large piece, but Folgers is 600,000 square feet, if I recall correctly. So if you're looking for that kind of logistics, something that can give you jobs and have a minimum impact, not the heavy manufacturing impact, this is the type of facilities you're going to have. Relative to the lot size, you look at combining lots. You do minor subdivision or lot line changes, minor subdivision type changes, and you combine lots to create. This facility may end up with one main tenant and a lot of offshoots. It may end up with a number of major tenants. When Chevron located here, at least 3 companies located in or near North Park almost immediately. We have 2 offices, the expansion of Chevron and the new office that we opened up, that was announced just recently, going into the North Park expansion. So people are looking at St. Tammany Parish. We need to have these places to locate them. If you remember during the comprehensive rezoning, we talked about the need for industrial and office space in St. Tammany Parish so we can attract the businesses and not just be a bedroom community, that we start generating our own independent economy. And so, again, we would recommend approval as it's written.
Thank you, Mr. Fontenot. Gord, do you have any comments?
All I can say is I'm in,
Okay.
literally.
All right, I'm gonna close.
I think Sydney summed it up very well.
All right. Yes, sir, you stood up. Please state your name and fill out a speaker card.
Sorry, my name's Craig Cutchy. I've been a resident on Elm Street across the interstate since 1989. And I think it'd be a great thing to get something going out there. So I just want to voice my opinion that
Okay.
I think it'd be good.
Thank you very much, sir. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in. I'm going to close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, Sydney, one question. So realistically, 12 years ago, this was zoned as a PUD, PUD district, not a PUD overlay like we
Correct.
have now, but a PUD district.
Correct.
So in essence, what we're doing is this amendment to the PUD, it's not an amendment to the PUD overlay, it's amendment to the PUD zoning, and it's realistically almost like having a regional business center overlay on top of that.
It's very similar. We took the old PUDs, and in fact, it specifically talks about how we handle the old PUDs in the zoning ordinance. We have a different process to get to PUDs, as we discussed before the meeting.
Right.
Now, where you have your underlying zoning, and you put the PUD overlay over it. If at any point in time, in fact, there's a provision in the ordinance for PUDs that are not moving, nothing has ever happened, where I can recommend to the council that we revert it back, and then we look at what the underlying zoning should be. What should the zoning be on that property? In this case, this one has had some movement. The property construction has started, so we never, and we've had on and off discussions with ASBE and Wadsworth for years, trying to figure out how to get it moving. So yeah, it is unique in the sense that it's one of the older PUDs. It was originally approved with commercial around the edges on the south and east side, and with some multifamily, and then a large residential, a good-sized residential component, and as separate components. For whatever reason, economy, Katrina, variety of combination of reasons, it's never moved. It's been sitting there for years. Some of us, our whole career in St. Tammany Parish, seems like it's been tied up in this development. And so I think everybody's looking for a real viable high-end development, which is why last month we recommended tabling it, because we wanted to work it to make sure that it ends up being a quality development and not just another industrial park with, we do have some of those in St. Tammany Parish where we bring people to it, and that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a combination of North Park with the warehousing and logistics. They want to be able to have their cake and eat it too, basically.
Right.
And again, we've worked with economic development, we've worked with the state economic development, we've worked with the administration on this list of uses, and rung the developers to the ringer on this thing. If the emails back and forth right up to the committee meeting we had, almost right up to the last moment, emails back and forth, get this done, get that done, we need to do this. And so we think it's going to be a good project, and we're ready, and they're ready to start moving dirt. They have money invested that's sitting there, and nothing's happening too, so we'd like to get it moving.
Yeah. Now, I agree with that too. My only concern is in the PUD district, which allows for up to Highway Commercial 3, that would not cover the 200-foot intervals for the, could
No,
we put a double overlay and have the
No,
planned
well,
business?
the PUD is different, where you can, the developer can ask for, and you can concur with virtually any regulation
Okay.
in the PUD. It's not tied, even if it have the underlying zoning in a new PUD, if it's a commercial industrial, the heights, it's not tied to that underlying. It's special. You can vary those. You have that flexibility in exchange for them locking in certain things. Setbacks, the design, the specific design, the limited uses. In HC3, you could have a lot more uses
Right.
than this. A lot more uses that we don't want on this property. So it allows a trade-off in that kind of development. And we try to stay away from linking directly to our existing zoning, saying all HC3 uses except for, or all, neighborhood commercial uses except for. Because we've had in the past a situation where 5, 10, 15 years later, our zoning ordinance changes. Which ordinance do you enforce? The uses at the time of the PUD, the uses at the time that they go to build it. And we've actually had litigation on that. And so what we do now is we tell developers, we don't want to see a reference to the UDC district, this is our uses, because that's going to change. And you want to know what you can do on your property. You don't want it subject to change. And even if in the case that we went to litigation, the parish lost, the developer was able to develop something that had been removed from that zoning district, even in that case, we don't want to go through that legal battle again. That question's been answered, why make the mistake again? So we create an entire new list of uses. These are appropriate for this piece of property.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthews.
Yeah, a couple of comments and one or two questions. One, I think this project is something that the parish needs. I think it is a better idea than the project that was proposed, what is it, 12 years ago now? I was against it then, and it passed, but I think this is a much better idea. The parking question as to where you're going to park the cars in a 400,000 square foot building and a 200-foot tall building, those are serious questions. But I think those are something that the Planning Commission will have to deal with, and you guys will have to deal with that at planning. And it's something you know you're going to deal with, and you're going to have to figure it out. And this is not a business park. It's a commercial PUD. Isn't that more what it is? So, I
Yeah,
mean,
basically
the
commercial
idea
PUD.
of what's in the code for the business park is really not relevant.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Sidney, do we have anything in the parish that's 200 feet tall and 400,000 square foot now?
No.
Other than,
Well, 400, the square footage, we'd have a few.
okay.
The
like
height, we
who?
don't have.
Like who? Who are they, just out of curiosity?
It's generally warehousing. Off the top of my head, 600,000 is Folgers, with the ability to go bigger. They never made that, they never built their expansion. I don't remember the exact dimension of Rooms to Go and Associated Foods, which are actually in the town of Pearl River. You can see them right off the interstate. They're huge.
What about Chevron, that their building? How big is that?
Chevron, they don't have that, I don't think it's that kind of square footage. Their expansion may bring them close to it.
Okay. Do we
But
have
they,
any?
but they chose to spread out at 2 and 3 floors. But this would give the ability to be able to go up, and that's how you make the parking work, because if you spread out 2 or 3 floors, you run out of land really quick. You eat up trees really quick. You create more impervious surface really quick. Whereas if you go up, you have smaller footprints. You have, you do your parking garages. You don't need as, you can put parking instead of square footage. The 200-foot, 100-foot, and 200-foot came about after Katrina, when it looked like a lot of New Orleans may move up here. But the company that just coming back, they're not looking at this size, but they decided they want to leave Houston. They want to come back to the New Orleans region, and they want to come back to the North Shore. And so,
Good.
so they're coming back with a substantial sized building. I haven't seen the plan, so I don't know the square footage.
Do we have any 200-foot buildings?
No, the tallest buildings we have on the Slidell side would be the Towers Building, the Parish complex over there in Slidell. The tallest building on this side would probably be one of the hospitals, which are 60, 70 feet. We have a couple buildings that are at 60 feet.
200.
One going up for construction.
200 equates to about a 20-foot, 20-story.
Yeah, 200 is a big building. I don't foresee it in the immediate future, but is it a possibility? Is it something that we should have possible in our ordinance at the appropriate location? Is absolutely, when we talked about the planned business campuses, where we first approached 100 foot, and then at the direction of, I can't believe it's Commissioner Council, looked at 200 feet as a possibility. We had people proposing in places that were totally inappropriate. It needs to be where the infrastructure can handle it. It needs to be near interstate interchanges and major highways. It can't be like one councilman proposed for a very short period of time at Claiborne Hill. You have to place them in the right place, and we think this is a good place for it.
From a planning standpoint, looks like the 200-foot buildings will be on the outside of the property, pretty much facing the interstate.
Yes.
Is that more appropriate than putting it in the rear?
I think because the location at the interstate, the visibility, somebody who's gonna put a 200-foot building is probably gonna want commercially from the, if you're talking let's go to Baton Rouge along the interstate. The big hotels changed names a number of times before you get to downtown on the right-hand side as you're going to the bridge. Sheraton, Marriott, it's changed its names. But, it's something of that scale. There aren't a lot of them. The building down near Seagan, near Mall of America, big contractor, I'm drawing a blank on the name. But you have some that are approaching that, they're usually spotty. Even in Houston, you'll have these little pockets. I mean, it's a lot of money to build a 200.
Yeah, I just didn't know
200-foot
whether
building.
it would be more appropriate to move that larger building more to the back of the middle of the complex rather than on
If
on the
you're on
edge.
the edge near other property, depending on the zoning of that property, I'd probably agree with you more, but being at the interstate interchange, it's, it's at least, it's hundreds of feet before you get to the residential across the street.
That's true, yeah.
If you had residential next door, I'd say, yeah, let's look at it again. And then, one of the tricks I learned in New Orleans is what side of the building you're on has a big impact. If you're on the north side of the building and it's winter, it's gonna get cold when that sun comes across and you're in the shadow of that building. Parts of the French Quarter, middle of the day, it's colder because you're in the shadow of the Sheraton and the Marriott and all those buildings. But in this case, it's going to be more commercial on that side. They're not residential there. So part of it has to do with where you're located on the property and the environment.
Okay. Again, I think this concept of a commercial, industrial type area is a much better concept, and I hope you guys bring it off. Thank you.
Ms. Casabon?
Yes, I have a question about the covenants. Is this the covenants that would follow the PUD, or this is just between Ashby and Wadsworth?
That is the agreement that lays out the relationship between the two owners.
Okay.
The reason that we looked at it and included it in our comments were when we originally reviewed it, there were some conflicts between the maps and the covenants, and we wanted to make sure they were compatible so that we wouldn't have confusion in the future. Say two landowners get in a dispute and the parish get drug into it because
Right.
the covenants conflict with the map. If you look in the covenants, there's language in there that the map rules as far as the parish is the
Okay.
governing factor. So if the map says there's a 10-foot landscape buffer, there's a 10-foot landscape buffer from our perspective.
Okay. What is it on a timely, when they talk about the infrastructure improvements on a timely basis in accordance with the scope of work that,
All that I can say towards that, and I'll let the applicant discuss if they wish, is that if we get this approval from council, they are ready to move and
Okay.
start. They're gonna have to
I mean,
tear up significant
timeline,
amount
I
of.
mean, I'm reading into this, I guess.
Well, that's a decision for the
that
parties.
The timeline,
Yeah.
that would, who decides this
That is-
timeline?
again-
Them or us?
That is a private agreement between those two
Okay,
parties,
that's
between
what I
Ashby and
was-
Wadsworth.
Okay.
They make that
So at
determination.
any time, if one of the other, if it's not moving in accordance to
The-
this
the-
timeline, the scope of work,
The provision that in there that would affect the parish would be in the sense that if the infrastructure is not put in,
Mm-hmm.
both parties agree that they will come back to the parish as
separate
partners
entity,
to
yeah.
ask you for permission to
okay,
change
but
it
they
again.
still have, that's my question.
still have to come back to the-
We still have to approve that PUD,
yes.
and it would have to come through us.
Yes, it would not be, nothing
in
would,
that
no
language.
changes would be automatic. It would,
Okay.
those parties agree that they will
Gotcha.
come in and cooperate in getting it changed to whatever
Okay.
new version. They have a lot of infrastructure in the ground they're gonna have to tear up to put commercial infrastructure in.
Correct.
They wanna get moving now, they're paying interest on this
Mm-hmm.
property.
Right. And I like the idea that they have excluded among themselves the different items that would not be included on the property that I agree with. I can't visualize a 200-foot building in St. Tammany Parish, but I do agree that if we have one, that's the place to put it. That we've always asked for, and we've been, as a commission, we have been criticized for, why are you putting it there? Well, this happens to be, as I've said for many years, this is a blank slate that we get to design what would go there. And my problem was so many, the housing and so much, so many buildings and people there. But we need something in the future to bring businesses to St. Tammany Parish. If anybody,
Mr. Richard?
Actually, I was just going to make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Richard to approve, seconded by Ms. Casabon. Mr. Matthews?
Just one quick comment. This parish has lived on revenue from home building. And when the slump hit home building, the parish was really struggling, still is. We have to develop new sources of revenue and jobs other than home building, and this may well do it. And I like the idea, and I agree.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve zoning case 01-03-028. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you and the commissioners. We certainly appreciate it. We've been at this project for quite some time, and we're anxious to get going.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Looking to see a beautiful complex out there.
We'll do our best.
All right, next item on the agenda, zoning case 13-11-075. Existing zoning is A3, suburban district. Proposed zoning is A3 suburban district and manufactured housing overlay. It's 39,989.4 square feet. Petitioner is Leonard Smith. The owner is Leonard Smith. Parcel located on the northwest corner of Francis Street and Eagle Street, being 73483 Eagle Street, Abita Springs, Ward 6 District. Staff?
Staff does not object to the request and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve. Second. Second by Mr. Matthews. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, zoning case 13-11-076. Existing zonings NC2 Indoor Retail and Service District. Proposed zonings MD2 Medical Clinic District. It's 3 acres. Petitioner's Paul Marone. Owner's Healthcare Rentals 2 LLC. Parcel located on the north side of Maison du Lac Boulevard, west of Louisiana 1085, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
Staff would like to recommend approval.
Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of Healthcare Rentals 2. This property is located behind the Presbyterian Church and behind the outpatient pavilion along Highway 1085. It doesn't actually front Highway 1085, but rather has access through the healthcare, the outpatient pavilion parking lot, as well as access on to Maison du Lac Boulevard. Given the property's location, the owner didn't feel that it was particularly appropriate for retail uses, since it's not on the highway and didn't have a lot of traffic coming by it. It is adjacent to another parcel owned by the same party, which is zoned MD2, and the proposal is for an assisted living facility on the property. You may recall that there has been a great deal of interest in assisted living in this general vicinity. At one time, Maison du Lac, which is just to our south, had an assisted living facility proposed internally. Not so long ago, this commission rezoned the back phases of Weston Glen MD2 for an assisted living facility. That since has been reverted back to residential. So at this point, there have been 2 proposals in this area, both of which were approved, neither of which are on the board now, and we have this property and we believe that it is suited for an assisted living facility, and that the MD2 zoning would be compatible with the church zoning to our north, the outpatient pavilion immediately to our north as well, and then to our west, another MD2 zone parcel. So with that said, we would respectfully request approval to make the zoning on this parcel MD2 consistent with its sister parcel immediately next door.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Davis to approve, seconded by Mr. Matthews.
I had a
Any further
question.
discussion?
Question here.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Paul, with the shuffling of the MD, this will be the only assisted living in that development?
Yes.
Okay, that
Yes.
was the only question I had.
Yes.
This just cancels out the other one and puts it here.
That's right. The other one is off the board. Y'all have rezoned that away, so this would be the only assisted living in this vicinity.
In this overlay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got a motion and a second. No further discussion. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Page 2, item 4, zoning case 13-11-077. The existing zoning is A2 Suburban District, proposed zoning A2 Suburban District and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. It's 4 acres. This comes to us by Parish Council motion of 9-5. Parcel located on the west side of Isabel Swamp Road, north of Louisiana 40, Ward 2, District 6. Staff?
Staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission.
Yes, I'm familiar with the area. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ms. Casabon, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Mr. Matthews.
I just have a question. Is the owner not here? Yes. You're the owner? Okay. Could you just tell us why you want the mobile home overlay and what this really is about?
Well, it was approved about 3 years ago. My father-in-law and mother-in-law, he got sick, and we were going to move them out there. They live in Ponchatoula right now, and it was approved, but before we can do it, he got really sick and passed away. And so now my mother-in-law, she lives in Ponchatoula by herself, and she just had a stroke, so we're trying to get her out there by us so we can take care of her.
And this is 4 acres, and you're going to put one mobile home on this
Yes, and
property?
once she passes away, the mobile home will disappear, and it'll grow back up.
Okay. Is there any way, staff, that we could enforce that? That there will be a single mobile home in this property?
Not on zoning, the condition.
The property is 4 acres, so you could just rezone 1 acre out of the 4 acres, which would allow to only place 1 mobile home on the property.
I have no plans of putting nothing
Would-
else on my property.
Would you be compatible with rezoning a single acre?
I mean, do I have to get it resurveyed or?
A survey will not be required, only a legal description will be
Yeah.
required.
If you provide us a legal description of an acre where you're gonna put that mobile home, then that will take care. 'Cause I don't wanna give you or the next owner of the property.
They won't be the
Well,
next owner.
Nobody thinks so, but one day it will.
Oh, sure, one day.
The right to put 4 mobile homes on that property. Will you approve that change to your request? That you do 1 acre?
Whatever I have to do to get it there, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Martha?
Yes. What you have to do is request, just say, I would like to, so it'll officially be on the docket, that
Okay,
you
yes, I
will
would like to.
rezone 1 acre, present the legal description to the parish for that.
Yes,
Where are you going to put it?
yes, I
I'll
will do.
amend my motion. I'll make a motion to approve that 1 acre.
Okay, we need you to fill out a speaker card also.
Who did
Mr.
the
Matthews,
second?
you have anything?
No,
else?
just who did the second?
Okay. We have a motion and a second, no further discussion. Please vote. Motion carries, thank you. Item 5, zoning case 13-11-078. Existing zoning's A3, the proposed zoning's A3 Suburban District and a manufactured housing overlay. It's 15,000 square feet. Petitioners Charles Brent Fontenot, the owners Charles Brent Fontenot, John S. Fontenot, and Gary D. Fontenot. Parcel located on the north side of Magnolia Drive, east of Sycamore Drive, being 4809 Magnolia Drive, Slide L, Ward 8, District 9. Staff?
Staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public. Mr. Matthews.
Again, is the owner present? Yes, I'm here. Yes. Can you just tell us why you want a mobile home overlay? Or manufactured housing overlay, rather?
Yes, sir. There's an existing trailer that's been there like 40 years on the property. We're getting rid of that. We're cleaning the property up. It was kind of overgrown, so we're cleaning up. I want to put a new trailer on it because my son and his girlfriend and 3 kids have been living with me for a year and a half, and I'm trying to get a place for them to live.
Satisfied me.
So I'm trying to use my property to do that for them.
Okay. Mr. Fontenot.
Motion to approve.
We got a motion and a second to approve. Mr. Fontenot, I believe there's also a building on the rear.
Yes, there is. It's like a outdoor kitchen. There's a barbecue pit, and it's just a outdoor kitchen. It's a concrete cinder block building. Yeah, Katrina kind of messed the roof up on it, but we're going to repair that.
Okay, so you're gonna renovate that?
We're going to renovate that, right. We're going to make that property look good.
Okay, all right. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Matthews, you have any votes?
No,
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 was postponed. Item 7 was postponed. Item 8, zoning case 13-11-081, existing zoning's A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A4 Single Family Residential. It's .93 acres. The petitioner is Shelby P. LaSalle Jr. Owner is Wing Haven Incorporated. Parcel located on the northeast corner of Sharp Road and Wing Haven Drive, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. LaSalle just informed me a few minutes ago that he wishes to withdraw his case.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Sal wishes to withdraw this particular case. I need a motion. Oh, okay, to withdraw? Okay. Okay. Item 9, zoning case 13-11-082. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is A2 Suburban District. It's 2.74 acres. Petitioner John H. Fortner. Owner is John H. Fortner. Parcel located on the north side of Rural Road, east of Louisiana Highway 25, being 15143 Rural Road, Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
Staff would like to recommend denial of the request, considering that the site is surrounded by A1 zone property.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? Mr. Fortner, are you here? Okay, you have any comments?
Yes, I would like to split my 2.74 acres. I'd like to give my daughter 1 acre so that she could build a home on it.
Okay. All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Fortner, you already have a trailer on the property?
I did.
You have a total of 2.74.
Right.
Is the trailer there now?
No, it's not. It's been out of there for
Okay.
5 or 6 years.
And so you're going to give her 1 acre of the 2.4?
That's correct.
How can we stipulate that? But you're rezoning the 2.74. Can we do the same thing on this one, Helen, that we did the other one?
Sure.
That, the 1 acre?
Right.
And what does he have to, because this is a little bit, can we do the same thing?
Right. What I'm trying to achieve is to give her 1 acre.
Do you want to give her the
Or
acre?
donate her 1 acre.
Okay, then if he donates her an
Makes it
acre, then does he have to change
Do we
the
have, that's
zoning?
what I'm asking Helen, do we have, if it's it's going from A1, which is 5 acres, he doesn't have 5 acres
No.
there.
No, but
It's
basically
surrounded?
that he rezoned to A2,
Right.
the whole entire property, or that the front remains A1, it doesn't really change anything because of the size of it. If he rezones to A2, the maximum number of parcels that he can create, it's 2. He cannot create any additional
Any other,
parcel.
so, but he'd have to have the zoning, the A2 zoning, in
Yes.
order to split it
Yes.
into the 2.
If he donates 1 acre to his daughter, and it's zoned A1, he can't build on it
Correct.
at all.
If it's current, As currently zoned, he cannot give a portion of the property to his daughter.
So we'd have to do the A2 for him to give.
You can do
the
either
acre.
one. You could do that 1 acre is A2, or like Helen said, it don't make any difference.
Difference.
Because
It
what
does,
you
yes,
do,
too big.
A2 is,
Right.
he's only able to do 2 anyway.
So Bernie, go ahead,
I'm going to move for approval.
and I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Willie for approval and seconded by Ms. Casabon. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Page 3, item 10, zoning case 13-11-083, existing zonings NC1 Professional Office District, proposed zonings HC1 Highway Commercial District. It's 28,800 square feet. Petitioner is Elizabeth Odebear, owners Sharon and Roy Cortez, parcel located on the southeast corner of Harrison Avenue and Falconer Drive, west of I Street, being 19412 Harrison Avenue, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
Staff feel that the NC1 zoning is appropriate for the area and that the HC1 zoning would be too intense for the area considering the proximity of the existing residential uses, and the staff would like to recommend denial.
Thank you. Ms. Odebear, you in the audience? You have any comments on this?
Yes, sir. Dr. Otterbear, I'm a veterinarian, basically requesting to renovate this home into a veterinary practice. So I know medical offices are NC1, but for some reason veterinary offices have to be HC1. This home is surrounded by, it's not backed up to, this is Mr. Roy Cortez, he's the current homeowner. It's not backed up to any residences. It's surrounded by empty lots at the moment. And next to it is highway commercial. I mean, CVS and Racetrack are literally just hundreds of yards away from this area. This is on the corner of Falconer and Harrison. So, I mean, this is a very busy area. It's got access to Falconer and access to Harrison. So it's a very, very busy road that I can have entrances to either Harrison or an entrance to Falconer, either or.
Okay.
Okay. Any opposition?
Ms.
Is there any-
Casabon?
Is there any opposition to it?
Pardon?
Is there any opposition?
Is there any opposition in the audience?
Okay.
Sandra Slifer, and I'm not objecting. The only thing that I am saying is that, I believe that Marty Dean is proposing that there be a text change to the zoning designations in the NC zoning codes that would allow veterinary clinics, and that perhaps there is a way to allow the veterinary clinics without having to have such an intense zone. So that was my only comment that I wanted to make, is that perhaps exploring what Marty Dean was proposing for that text change may be a way to move forward. Thank you.
Well, what he's actually proposing is that there is a type of veterinary clinic without any outdoor activity or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't have outdoor.
This particular,
anything.
I know this particular house is on the corner, which kind of has taken Mr. Cortez's house out of commerce, because Falconer Drive connects right into it. It's on the corner. It's not, the sidewalk is right next to it. So to me, I was surprised that he lost that much footage or whatever. But I think we came up with the way I was thinking about it, is that no entrance on Harrison, and let the entrance come off of
Falconer.
the Falconer Road.
That would be fine.
And what she was saying about they are introducing an amendment or resolution or whatever you call it to change that, because she's going to have no
Okay.
outside stuff.
I think we probably
So,
need to postpone this till the next meeting and let them get the
I
details
think that
worked
would
out.
be best, but I would like to say that I am in favor of it as long as there's no entrance. Harrison is too crazy that you'd put an entrance somehow
agreeable.
off of Falconer, but that is in the works, and
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion to postpone it
I got
until
a
we see what the
question.
council
That's
does.
I have a question before you, if
Okay.
you wouldn't mind.
Yes, sir.
What about MD2, which allows veterinary clinics? Staff?
Indeed. What?
I'm looking at the ordinance, and what I have shows one of the proposed permitted uses is veterinary clinics, less than 3,000 square feet.
It would be an option. What is the size of the house?
That's 1,750.
That's an option.
Clinics, medical
Would you need
laboratories,
any
nursing
outside
homes, convalescent
storage?
homes, but a whole lot less than this.
You don't have any, would you have any outdoor kennels?
Outdoor kennels? That's what they're talking about, no outdoor, but that was the proposal thing.
No, I
Okay,
mean, I
let-
wouldn't have animals staying outside, no.
You would board them in the house?
They would be boarded
That's what I'm
indoors.
asking.
I mean,
Would you-
I might add extensions
That's what I'm
to
saying,
the
something
current building.
connected?
Yeah, it would be connected.
So you could if it's 1,700 square feet, you could actually add,
I mean, I would add probably to the current building.
Martha,
add it.
double it.
Martha, let's go ahead and, you made
Table
the
it?
motion to postpone till
Okay.
next month.
I did.
Mr. Matthews, that was a good suggestion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Lauren. Please vote to postpone.
Seems like a waste of her time.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, zoning case 07-041, major amendment to a PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay. It's 848.261 acres. The petitioner Jeffrey Shane, owner's Warehouse Real Estate Development Company. Representative is Gulf States Real Estate Services. Attention Michael Soche. Located east side of Louisiana 434, north of Ezel Road, south of D'Antonio Road, Ward 7 and 9, District 11. Staff?
A revised plan has been provided showing the reconfiguration of the originally approved development. The Town Center College Campus and multifamily apartment complex are proposed to be located along Highway 434 as originally proposed. The northern part of the site, which was originally proposed to remain undeveloped and preserved with wetlands and open space, is now proposed to be partially developed with office warehouses. The remaining portion of development, which will consist of townhomes, garden homes, single-family, and estate lots. And staff would like to recommend approval of a proposed major amendment to the PUD.
Thank you. Mr. Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm in Covington, appearing before you this evening on behalf of the owner and developer, Weyerhaeuser Real Estate Development Company. We appreciate the opportunity to present this major amendment to you. I believe that this PUD was originally approved back in 2007. I think all of you are generally familiar with where it's located. That's on the east side of Highway 434, just north of and abutting the Coroner's Complex. For many years, it was known sort of in the community as the University Square Project, but this, of course, is the entire 850-acre PUD. In simplest terms, I would suggest to you that this is a tweak, a significant tweak in the sense that we have included really some business components to the PUD that were not there previously, and that's primarily on the north side of the PUD, somewhat consistent with discussions you had earlier this evening on the other project at 1088. We believe that this development should also include a commercial warehouse component to give us an opportunity to bring in some quiet, low-impact businesses that will bring, quite frankly, some hopefully good employment opportunities, good tax base, and good economics to not only help the parish as a whole, but to make this PUD more successful. As you can imagine, with the significant residential component that we have in this PUD, ultimately we would like to see a lot of these people have opportunities to not only recreate, go to school, but also work in this area. And so by providing the office component on the north side, we think that this is a significant step in that regard. I think it would be better for me to reserve the rest of my time, address it to any questions that the public or the commission might have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shane.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Mr. Shane, I want to close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Mr. Shane, are you all seriously thinking of having a college campus on this property?
Yes, sir.
I mean, is there something in the works, or is this just a dream?
Well, it's certainly public knowledge. I wanted to make sure I knew which portions of the project are public knowledge or knowledge that I can share with you. Currently in the PUD, there's 53 acres that's owned by the parish. It has been for 3, 4, 5 years, and actually there is one plan right now to bring in the technical college at that location, and also the possibility of some of the other colleges and our universities in our region having facilities there as well.
Okay.
But very active in real discussions.
Good. I think that's a good thing for the parish. I think this is a much like the previous business campus we talked about. Hopefully we'll bring some more people to actually work in the parish and maybe give us another tax base rather than, again, home building, which has been our livelihood. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Matthews to approve. Mr. Davis, you?
Yeah, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
I do like the tweak that you did on this. My only question is access. Obviously, for the offices and the warehouse, I'm assuming you'll have 18-wheelers driving in there. So where will they be they won't be coming through this whole PUD to get there. Will they be
No,
coming
sir.
off of Dixie Ranch Road?
No, sir. There are actually 5 entranceways to this development off of Highway 434.
Right.
There are 2 4-lane median, I think they're 4-lane, but 2 median or boulevarded entrances, and 3 other entrances as well. So there will be multiple opportunities for the traffic to enter.
So probably this Dixie Ranch Road would not be used often. Okay, so.
It would only be what I would call an outlet, meaning that it would not be primary, but would only provide access of convenience, maybe for those coming from Dixie Ranch that wanted to connect to the development.
What would be the least strenuous way for someone to drive an 18-wheeler into that PUD to go to the offices without going through the whole college campus area? They have to go through the town center, is that correct?
Well, they'd go to the northern, I assume they would go to the northernmost 2-lane entrance.
Right.
Very simply,
I mean, is
which
there
is-
a way to, I hate to say ensure that, but is there a way
Yes,
to
sir.
inform those resident, or those the people that
Absolutely.
own that they should go that way instead of going
Sure.
through the town
Well,
center?
as you well know, truck drivers are smart, and the first time, they typically take the wrong route and the long route. And I think we've all would agree with that.
I live down Lake Road. I had many people coming down there looking for a coffee place,
Look,
if you know what I mean.
fully agree, but I think we would
Yeah.
also agree
Right.
that you send that truck driver back a second time.
Right.
And he
he'll never
remembers
forget.
having had to back down streets the first time. So, but you make a good point. We definitely will not only encourage, but insist and suggest that our vendors and the people that are doing business take the route of least resistance and let them, and we will encourage them to enter what I will call the business park or the commercial entranceway to the north.
Thank you. I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I believe, Mr. Manella, you were going to second it as well a minute ago? Okay, we've got,
I didn't take my opportunity before.
okay.
Sarah Burns, and I'm a resident of Lacombe, and I just want to, I guess, address.
Just a moment.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
need to,
We need to reopen.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I need a motion to reopen. And second. Please vote. All right, we have a motion and a second to reopen, and that carries. Now, state your
Okay,
name.
I'm sorry,
and-
Sarah
and-
Burns. And I have a question. This is a pretty significant change from this wetlands area, and now you're going to have a development, and the bayou is just north of this. It's not shown on this, what I'm looking at, but the bayou runs just north of that, and drainage issues and your additional building, and if that's just something that they could address.
All right.
To address those questions, and I'm glad to address both. The drainage issue, though, technically is a planning issue, and I don't say that by any means to chide the question, because I'm glad the question has come forward, but I think it is important for us to remember this is a land use hearing. But with regard to drainage, drainage will be provided. Of course, there will be on-site detention and then, of course, off-site discharge. But the good news is that the parish is currently working on a regional detention facility literally across the highway, acquiring a piece of property. I'm not sure that it's been acquired yet, but I know the plan, and I believe the funds are in place to do so. So the point is that although the plan that we proposed in '07 would still work for our drainage, I believe that there is a very strong chance, great likelihood, that this property will drain to the west under 434 and into that regional drainage facility that's being developed. With that having been said, as each component of this PUD goes through your subdivision process, as you know, at preliminary, we will have to present detailed and specific drainage plans. And that's my way of saying, Ms. Burns, that we will in fact confirm, hopefully at that point, where each drop of water is going, so that there will be no concerns about the outfall. With regard to the wetlands, there's really no intrusion of this project into any active wetlands. Actually, what's occurring as a result of the new configuration is that there are two areas that we need a crossing, literally just to cross a wetlands area to access this new configuration. Two of our crossings are already in place and approved. We will have to, of course, seek a permit for the two new crossings, but I don't want there to be any misconception that the tweaking of this development, in fact, will be placing the development in a wetlands area. It's simply not the case, but good questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews.
Jeff, I got just one clarification. You said there'll be two crossings of wetlands. The map I have appears to show three.
I'm not sure that, of course, let's see. I'll get Scott to make sure I identify this one's approved. Let's go down to the southwest corner. There's a total of 4, 2 approved and 2 that are needed.
Okay.
The 2 that are approved are the one nearest the coroner's property and the one to the east of it. And then the 2 north of that are the 2 new ones that are proposed that will need approval.
Okay. Well,
Make sense?
yes, it does. One thing, I just did one this looks like the town center concept that we had envisioned when we revised the whole comprehensive zoning. And if you guys pull this off, this will be one of very few in the parish, and I like the concept.
Well, thank you. And we intend to pull it off because a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall in place that are beyond really our direct control, meaning that with the development of possibly the college campus and some other institutional buildings, as you know, parish has a park and ride facility there already. So we believe that this is going to create the momentum for some synergy, if you will, to develop hopefully a quality, a reasonably moderate impact community that'll benefit all of us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shane. Ms. Burns, that answered your questions? Okay, I'm gonna close the floor to the public again. We have a motion and a second on the floor of the commission by Mr. Matthews and seconded by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, zoning case 96-08-046, major amendment to the PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay. It's 939.1 acres. Petitioner is A. Wayne Uris. Owner is Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. Parcel located on the west side of Louisiana 1085, south of I-12, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The request consists of a reduction of the size of the lots along Deer Park Drive. The lots are currently 70 by 140 and are proposed to be decreased to 50 or 60 by 130, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Yes, sir, Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Paul Marone on behalf of Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. As you may recall, this project has come back before you on a number of occasions and will continue to come back before you because of the nature of this particular PUD. It's a little bit different than most of the PUDs that have been approved in the parish and that will come before you. And it's different in the sense that as you look at the plan, you will see that there are bubbles within the plan. And what that bubble is an area that does not have specific lot layouts or land uses. There are general parameters, but the specifics were left open just for this type of process, for the developer to be able to determine what's appropriate, to make a proposal, to fill in that bubble with the specifics, to present it for you for your consideration, and that's what we're doing this evening. You'll recall also that several months ago I came before you, I think as the Planning Commission at that point, and actually modified, took about 38 lots out and created 4 very large estate lots, again, to respond to the need and to the market. I come to you tonight with a little bit different and moving in a bit of a different direction, but nonetheless staying within the overall parameters of the PUD. And the one thing that I want to point out to you is that we have a maximum density on this entire project, and that density is 942 acres. While we have flexibility within these bubbles as to where these units might be, the overall units for the project remain the same, and that is not being changed as a result of what we're doing here tonight. We are simply working within the overall framework and staying below our 942 maximum units. We really have 2 different actions happening here. As Ms. Lambert noted, we have certain lots along Deer Park Drive that are currently 70 by 140s. We are proposing to modify those lots to take them to between 50 and 55-foot fronts to 130-foot depths. So we are reducing the size of those slightly. We are also encroaching into bubble number 3 and picking up lots out of that bubble. The overall changes, we're taking about 14 acres along Deer Park Drive as well as some out of bubble 3. And we're proposing 67 lots. That is about a 4.8 units per acre just on this parcel. I would note for you that bubble 3 allows a density of 7 units per acre. So we're well below what is allowed within that bubble. We are modifying slightly the lots along Deer Park Drive. The overall density of the project is staying the same, and the whole focus here is to be able to add a different and diverse type of product in the property. I came to you before requesting large estate size lots. I'm coming to you now because there is a need and a desire to provide lots of this nature. So the developer has a goal and a plan for the entire development. Central to that goal is having a diversity of housing types in here to be able to attract a potential buyer and user, no matter what their interests may be, no matter what their price point might be. And this allows him to do that. Again, staying within the overall framework of the development as approved. The overall green space actually goes up slightly as a result of this change, and it's minimal, but we have hundreds of acres of green space, and that's being maintained as a result of these minor modifications. So with that being said, we would respectfully request approval to the PUD for the changes that I've discussed, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Paul, I think we've already reached our maximum number of major improvements to PUD, so I think we have to deny this.
Well, there's still one more after this one.
Yeah, I know, tough luck. No, I'm kidding. Now, this makes sense. There is a need for some of these smaller lots, so I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Matthews to approve, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Item 13, zoning case 04-10-083, major amendment to the PUD Plan Unit Development. It's 462.05 acres. The petitioner is A. Wayne Burris. Owners Terabella Group LLC. Parcel located on the north side of Louisiana 1085, south of Chafuncta River, east and west of Russo Road. Ward 1, District 1 and 3. Staff?
The request consists of a reconfiguration of lots 734 and 738 to 745, resulting in an increase in the size of the lots and a reduction of the total number of lots. The zoning of certain lots has also been changed in order to allow for multifamily residential uses only on the newly created lots 734A and 739. And staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Paul Morone, again, for Terabella Group LLC. And let me see if I can simplify what we're doing here. It appears a little complicated on its face, perhaps, with the lot numbers and the lots, but it's really a very simple request. We came to you maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and rezoned a portion of, we amended the PUD to rezone a portion of the Terabella property, particularly that portion on the west side of Russo Road, to Neighborhood Center 1, which allowed multifamily. There were 16 acres of this NC, Neighborhood Center 1, that was located on the west side of Russo Road that allowed for multifamily. As part of our discussions with a multifamily developer, they decided that they would really prefer to be in the town center and not across Russo Road. And you may recall that while this commission did approve our request to add the multifamily component, one of the complaints was that why was it across Russo Road? Why wasn't it near the town center? Because on many occasions, and going back to when this PUD was originally approved, we talked a lot about River Ranch and other traditional neighborhood developments. And it was brought up, well, in River Ranch, they have their multifamily right near the town center. Well, we're here to ask you to allow us to relocate, keeping the same number of acres allowed for multifamily, but to relocate a portion of it into the town center. We met with the developers. They are proposing a very high-end luxury apartment product here. That product was rolled out to the residents that are in Terabella. They have embraced it. They're looking forward to it. There is unanimous belief by the residents, the developers, and so forth that this will add a component to the downtown area, the town center area of Terabella, that will help it reach its maximum potential. You need, in a development like this, you need to be able to get to critical mass. You need to have enough people to sustain the restaurant that's there, the other services are there, and this component will help do that, and we think it'll be the catalyst for additional single-family development in the area as well. So we're taking what was commercial, town center commercial, and we are replacing that with the town center commercial zoning, but with the ability to put the multifamily component there. So it's a swap. We're taking 6.2 acres out of the multifamily potential area on Rousseau Road. We are replacing that with straight commercial, and we're putting the multifamily potential right in our town center. Again, no new additional uses, no new additional acreage. The acreages stay exactly the same. It's simply a relocation to an area that is more suitable for this particular developer, and which is embraced by the residents in the neighborhood. With that said, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions if any of the commissioners may have it, but we would respectfully request your approval of our amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring back to the commission. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Paul. I do like the idea of having the multifamily on both sides of that Rousseau Road, especially there with the businesses just to the east of that. I think it's very well planned. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Mr. Richard.
No, I was just going to say that everything Paul said is absolutely correct. I have a family member living in Terabella, and the residents have embraced this. And to get the critical mass that's necessary for this type of concept, we need more people, and this is exactly what the TND is about. So I'm absolutely for it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote.
You'll probably succeed the number of
Yeah. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14, zoning case 06-01-004, major amendment to a PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay. It's 196.4 acres. Petitioner's Pat McElroy. The owner is Azalea Lane Partnership, parcel located on the south side of Haas Road, west of Louisiana Highway 11, east of Robert Road, Ward 8, District 8. Staff?
The request consists of a reconfiguration of Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, resulting in a reduction of the total number of lots from 402 lots to 390 lots. And considering that I am losing my voice, I will limit my comments to say that staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Mr. McElroy.
Mr. Chairman and members, I'm Pat McElroy with the Azalea Lakes Partnership. I'm before you to seek approval of the major amendment to the Ashton Park PUD. Helen, great job on that staff report. Thank you for working with us. We've spent many meetings with Helen and the staff, and we appreciate your efforts in working with us. Some of the highlights of what we're doing in this amendment to the PUD, we have 195.04 acres in the PUD, of which 111.46 acres are residential, 2.99 acres are commercial. The commercial property is located off of Haas Road, and on your plan, we have outlined the permitted uses for that commercial tract. The Ashton Park amendment to the PUD consists of 6 phases. We've constructed Phase 1 already, which is 121 lots. We have many homes already constructed in that first phase. There are many homes under construction in that first phase. That's 121 lots of the 390. The remaining phases of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will consist of 269 residential lots. These are all residential. Phases 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, along with many acres set aside for recreational as well as open and green space area. Some of the highlights of what we have: total open and green space provided in this amended PUD plan is 83.58 acres, which represents 42% of the PUD. The required open space and recreation as required by the parish is 25% of the PUD, which would be 48.76 acres. We've exceeded that amount. We are providing 53.68 acres for open space and recreation area, which equates to 28% of the PUD. As Helena says, we would certainly request your approval. We like the layout. It's a better feel. It certainly is indicative of what our marketplace is like in Slidell, Louisiana. This is a great plan. We like the way the green space interacts or meanders through the plan unit development, and as such, we respectfully request your approval.
Thank you, Mr. McElroy. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this item? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
In the planning section, we had talked about your dead-end roads.
Yes, sir.
And we are going to have to deal with those.
Yes, sir.
At that point. You said something about the recreation and the detention. The recreation area that you're proposing, you had mentioned about a soccer,
Yes, sir.
something going in there?
Well, that is owned actually by the Louisiana Soccer Association, so that is their property intended for active recreation of soccer fields. The Fritchie Park area of soccer is going to cease, and this is going to be that area for a major soccer area.
Okay. Is that part of your subdivision?
That is part of the Ashton Park PUD.
Okay.
Okay, as part of that 195 acres, it is part of the PUD owned by the Louisiana Soccer Association, of which we abut up against.
Okay. That's not going to be, that is not considered part of your green space, or is part of?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir. It is part of the active recreation because it is part of that boundary of the PUD.
Okay. All right. Answers that question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Randolph?
Yes, in the same vein where Bill was going.
Yes, sir.
The retention pond and active recreation, that's in phases 2 through 6, right? That's a part.
Our retention is part of what we're doing right now in phase 1.
Okay. How much acreage or how many lots does that retention pond actually take up?
Well, we have several retention ponds. We have on-site, which is our own detention, and then we also can flow to the Whisperwood retention pond. Okay, so part of the project can feed to the on-site, which will have more than adequate space for detention, and the other part of the project would flow to the Whisperwood detention.
Let me redirect it then. So the retention pond and active recreation will not impede on the lots that's included in phases 2 through 5. In other words, it will not take away any of those lots, or from any of those lots.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you see where the retention pond is? I mean, I think I understand your question, but I want to make sure I am answering your question.
Okay.
I'm satisfied.
You're happy?
Yes, sir.
When you're happy, I'm happy.
All right, any further discussion, Mr. Matthews?
One more question.
Yes, sir.
At what point will any of this active recreation actually be constructed?
Well, a lot of the active, other than the soccer association, as we develop it in those phases, that's when it will come about. For instance, in phase 1, that is already in. As we get to phases 2 through 6, as we develop those phases, those components will come in.
Okay, so in phase 1, there already is active recreation.
Yes, sir.
How about phase 2?
We haven't even constructed
No,
phase
I
2.
mean, will there be active recreation, and what will that be in phase 2?
In phase 2, on the map that delineates phase 2, what you're seeing is you're going to have walking trails that get eventually to the soccer fields, okay? But you're going to see a lot of recreation come in more of 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That's down the road.
Yes, sir.
Could be several years.
Well, hopefully, if the market will continue to work with us, we'll get there quicker than what we have in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Randolph, do you have any further comment? Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve.
Do we?
Do we?
No.
Come on. No, we do not. Mr. Matthews.
Would you like one?
Yes, please.
I would like
Make a
one.
motion. I'll make a motion
Second.
to approve.
We have a
Thank
motion by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion Carries. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon with preliminary.
All right, good deal. All right, no old business, no new business. We got a
Thank
word
you,
down here I
Howard.
don't understand. Adjournment?
Who? So moved.